Hello my friends, in this video I'll be going over the best mods for patch 7 in Baldur's Gate 3 and covering a great number of them here. We have things ranging from new items, new classes, new cosmetics, new spells, and improvements to things that are already in the game. I'll be giving my thoughts on these as well as talking about some of the mods that I'm currently using. Now as you know, if you watch my previous videos, I've avoided a lot of modded content because I didn't want to make videos on stuff that PlayStation and Xbox wouldn't be able to use. So I'll be going over some of the things here. Now, the first one I want to bring your attention to is look at this UI. I really like the immersive UI mod as it really opens things up. It allows you to see more of the screen because all of this takes up a large chunk of the screen. And you can take much better screenshots with this. I can't play without this mod now after using it. And speaking of which, I'm also using the native camera tweaks mod. So this is another really useful mod because it allows you to get right up close in your character's face like this, so you can get real close. You can also unhook the camera and like move your way around if you want to view from different areas. Like you can literally get right up in your character's faces. This is a really great mod because you get a little bit of a different perspective. Like there are some areas you can see off in the distance there that aren't fully meshed out because you're not supposed to move the camera around like this, but it makes for really cool screenshots and it also just feels a lot more immersive this way. So these two mods are something I cannot live without as they just bring so much to the game. And this mod is available right now on Nexus Mods. Now, I feel like there may be some version of this coming to console as well. Not maybe this exact mod, but something similar because the camera angles are nice in Baldur's Gate 3, but they're a little bit restrictive without having a mod. And really, I played around with this because you can actually change, if you use the script extender, you can change some of the parameters. You can actually make a first-person mod. You can't do it right now because it just shows the back of your character's head. But when using that mod, you can actually make it so that it looks like you're viewing through your character's eyes. So that is another really cool mod that builds off of the native camera tweaks. So I expect something like this on console. It's just super useful because, yeah, this game is beautiful and you want to showcase the true beauty of it. Now, another one that I really like is the WASD character movement mod. So what this one does is it gives you that Dragon Age Origins feel, which is a game that I sorely miss. So you get this freedom of movement like this that you can just use your WASD keys as well as the Q and E to kind of turn your camera around. This mod is essential for me. I can't play without it after playing with it. Now, this is primarily for PC players because, you know, you can't use a keyboard and mouse on console, but I'm not too certain if we'll get keyboard and mouse compatibility. I have a feeling that it's to help sell controllers, so that's why they don't allow it on console. But I would really love for the ability to have this on PlayStation and then use a wireless keyboard and just play from bed. Like, that would be a dream come true for myself. But yeah, the WASD mod makes this game feel like Dragon Age Origins in a very good way. I just love the ability to move around like this versus just doing the point and click. However, you still can do point and click movement. I think that the WASD mod, alongside the native camera tweaks mod, are both essential and they play off each other very well. So if you got one, you should also get the other. Now, you may notice we got multiple people here in our party. We got 5 people here. So if I show you guys this, we got the full, you can go with unlimited amount of party members. And this is a mod that I do believe will come to console because it doesn't take a whole lot. For me, I used the script extender. I literally just typed a single line in and you can now have unlimited party members. So I think that this will come. Now, the Xbox Series S is something that I'm a little bit curious if it'll be able to handle extra characters, but you can have a ton of summons, so I don't think it will be a big issue. I was talking to some people about that the last few days about having the unlimited characters on the Xbox Series S. I don't think it'll be much of an issue because you can play a necromancer. You can play 4 necromancers and they have a bunch of summons too. So I don't think that that will be much of an issue overall. So yeah, I have a feeling that the ability to have multiple characters will come very quickly. People love that power fantasy of having a whole team of strong characters. And to follow up on that, the level 20 multi-class mod is another one that I think is essential in Baldur's Gate 3 for, not essential, but it's one that a lot of people want because you can take your class up to level 12. Let's say you're playing as a sorcerer, you can take it full level 12, and then you can add in 2 levels of the fighter. You can't go past level 12 with your current class. That's one of the restrictions of the level 20 mods that I've seen. But it also, some of them, this one here in particular doesn't let you cast higher level spells, but some of the other ones that I looked at, if you have multiple spellcasters and have the full spell progression, you can cast like a level 9 version of Scorching Ray and different things like that. So that is really cool. I love that. And you probably, if you're taking this, you're going to want to have, there's a huge number of XP mods that'll give your character more XP. So whether that be from combat or like just little things around the way, this one it recommends going like a fast XP to level 6 mod, so you can get yourself up to that level. There's a ton of XP mods, and I honestly feel like they will come to console easily, so that's another thing that I'm really looking forward to. But this is cool. I think I will do some builds that are level 20 whenever this comes out, because I was asked quite a few times in the past about doing level 20 builds, because I know a lot of people do use this mod currently on PC. But as I mentioned earlier, I don't want to do that, because then console players will be left out. But soon that won't be a restriction anymore, so we'll be coming up with some cool things. Now, one thing that I want to note is this obviously makes the game a whole lot easier. So there's actually things that you can do to make the game much more difficult. And in addition, the game is going to have honor mode rule sets being added into the main game. So when you go to start your own whenever you go to create your own game, you'll have the ability in the future to now add in legendary actions. You can also play on Tactician, but on top of that, there's a ton of mods that'll make the game more difficult, give more enemies in different encounters, and since that's just using game assets, it'll obviously be coming to console as well, so you can expect to see something like that alongside this mod, just for people that want to play something a little bit more challenging, but also not going too far into it and doing something like honor mode. The restrictions on honor mode are you can only have one save file, which is something I don't really like, because I'm someone that loves to save multiple times because I screw things up often. Not that honor mode's, I don't like honor mode, I love honor mode, but it's cool to then have the ability to scale up your own gameplay and make it the way you want to play it. So whether that be giving enemies double health or giving double enemies in encounters or just scaling up the encounters and giving legendary actions, we'll see how that all works out. Now, this one is a PC exclusive. Unfortunately, I don't see the script extender coming to console, but what this looks like, I'll just pop it up right now. You got your whole console here, so you can use this in the game to really do whatever you want. It's very versatile. Like, my character has Volo's eyes, and I was able to remove them, so you can do the aesthetics. I also am an Illithid, so you see all the Illithid abilities. I don't have the Illithid look. I also have multiple changes, like you can remove Will's horns with the script extender. You can give yourself items, so you're able to mod in whatever item you want if you have the ID of the item. So there's a ton of ways that this mod can be useful, and some mods on PC do require this. So the only unfortunate part is this is likely never going to come to console just due to the complexity of it, and it's also really difficult to install. I did make a really easy guide on how to install this if you're on PC and want to install it, but yeah, the script extender has a lot of things that it can do. Another thing is the achievement enabler. So this is a popular one because people like to keep their achievements. And it's hard to say whether they're going to disable. Now, if you play through like Fallout 4 or Skyrim, when you use mods, you do lose the ability to get achievements. And people want their achievements. So this one's available on PC. I have a really good feeling that something along the lines will be developed. Actually, it's hard to say, but it just depends on the scripting because, yeah, this just gives better quality of life for gamers, and this one's relatively easy to install, so you literally just throw it into a folder, native mods, really straightforward, but we're getting into some more interesting ones here. So this is the Fantastical Multiverse. This is cool. So this gives the ability to play as a number of different races in the game. So you can play, like there are some that come base in the game, but things like kobolds, you can play as a kobold with this. You can play as that. You can play as a dryad. You can play as Yuan-Ti pureblood. And there's unique dialogue options for these too, which I think is really cool. So this is a full orc instead of a half orc. So they have a bunch of different races that you can choose from on here, which is very nice. And they all come with their own unique benefits. So like you can get benefits of like increasing this one, for example, Lilthorn Drow can get improvements to their charisma modifiers. There's a ton of different races. I'll go over some of them here, but you can see just a list of some of them here. Yeah, there's a ton. We'll just go through this here, but I think it's really cool because this opens up the role-playing ability of this game. If you really want to play as a kobold or a goblin, you can go through and play as a kobold or goblin. And also gives additional like elf and half-elf heads, drow heads, more human heads. Some of these are likely to come to console because PlayStation may have the restriction of only allowing in-game assets. Now, there's a big caveat there that I've seen some people complaining about, but you can actually get a lot of different faces from the different models in the game. Like, if we look around here, all these characters have different faces that we don't even get to see. And there's tons and tons. Just look at all these people rolling through here. Some of them aren't the prettiest, but there's a lot that are like really like pretty good looking faces. So you could even have Shadowheart's face if you would want. So that's another thing with console mods. There's more assets, I would say, in Baldur's Gate 3 than Fallout 4 and Skyrim combined. So you got yourselves a lot of things that we can play around with. But in this mod as well, there's so the basic mods the basic ones that we normally have. But then there's overhauls to the tieflings, variants of humans. There's revenants you can play as. That's pretty interesting. You can be Beelzebubs, tieflings, Dispaders, tieflings, a ton of tieflings. We won't even get through all of them. So then there's monsters in the multiverse. So you can play as an Aasimar. I had some comments wondering if that would be added to the game. And I'm hopeful. I actually think that PlayStation players will get that because Dame Aylin's in the game. There's divas in the game too, so they could even use models like that. You can play as bugbears. There's those in the game. Changelings, Durgar overhaul, Earth genocide, air genocide, Eladrin, fairies, because there is fairies in the game. Gith Yankee got overhauled, Gith Zerai, goblins, Goliaths, hobgoblins, kobolds, lizard folk, minotaurs, shifters, tritons, Yuan-ti. There's a ton of different ones, and the list just goes on and on and on. And there's masks that allow you to change into them. So this is actually really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what all comes from this. So that it has like even Final Fantasy IV. I don't know how much this will get added into it, and even things from Dark Souls, which is super cool. But yeah, the fantastical multiverse, I think in some capacity will come to Baldur's Gate 3, whether it's on PC only or Xbox only. But even on PlayStation, I do think we'll get a lot of these because there's so much in the game that just hasn't been used. So yeah, this is really interesting, and I'm excited to see what this all brings to the table. So yeah, playing as a kobold is just so funny to me. But yeah, we'll get into things. We also have the feats extras. So I'll be going over some different ones here that I've used in the past. So feats, I think that there's mods that someone was talking about this, add a mod every 2 levels, so you can make some really crazy builds. So look at all these extra mods. Like this is a ton. Artificer initiate, so it gives the artificer spells. Chef, crossbow expert fix. So a ton of different ones. Like there's literally a huge list here that like unstoppable amount. Like this would be fun if you could add in multiple of these. Again, you'd probably want to scale up the difficulty because Baldur's Gate 3 can be beat really with any subclass. So if you're making yourself super overpowered, you probably want something a little bit more challenging. So playing on tactician or whatever it may be. But even if you want just the medieval power fantasy, I think that that's awesome. So this is a really cool one. And I feel like we will get more feats because this is stuff that you could pretty easily add into the game. I don't see there being much issue with this. So yeah, this is really cool. I'm looking forward to this one. Another one that's been talked about a lot is a Transmog. I feel like this will come to all consoles no problem because this is really cool. You can make whatever weapon you want look like whatever here. So you just basically use the Transmog appearance item, and then you can make like something like the Blade of the First Blood look like or Bloodthirst Blade look like a club. You can really you can get really creative with this if you want your armors to look like certain things. So this is, I would feel like an easy one to mod into the game because it's not using anything different from the assets that are already in the game. So very cool. Super excited for Transmog because that'll allow you to wear, like, sometimes I just like to wear certain outfits like this one, for example, because it's aesthetically pleasing. And this allows you to really use whatever. If you want to use the beginning gear, you can go right ahead. Another one that's really popular and useful is bags. So this adds new containers, and it can auto stack items to help organize your inventory. So this almost makes it feel like an MMO. I had this installed, but a previous patch, whenever the game patches, all the mods will break. So some of these I've used in the past and just haven't reinstalled because I like just keeping it bare bones for everyone because I don't want things like when I started making more Baldur's Gate 3 content, I didn't want things that people were not going to be able to have and asking about and making them feel bad that they couldn't do it. But yeah, this will add a bunch of bags. Again, feels like an MMO, so you have all your chest pieces in one, and it'll auto stack these, making it really nice because right now I'm not using that mod anymore, and look at my mess of an inventory. This is just ridiculous. So yeah, to get away from all of this, it'll be really nice. Another thing, there's a little bar here, so whenever you're going to your fifth party member, fifth, sixth, seventh party members, you can easily do it there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to re-adding this after patch 7, because then mods won't break and I won't have to reinstall it. But this was very useful in the past when I used it. I used it in my second playthrough, and it was really nice just to have everything all compiled in one area. Now, another cool one, there's some really, really nice race mods. Like this is basically the Asimir mod. Asimir, sorry, pronunciation, half angel. So similar to Dame Aelin. It's like a human, but it's got like the cracks on the skin there. Very cool. So there's multiple different types that you can make, and they got like the feathers on their head, different colored wings. This is really, really interesting and biblically accurate Asimir. So this one I was a big fan of just looking through it. The appearances on this, I watched some videos on it, very cool. Coming with a bunch of 25 different halos and horns, 10 different wings, and you can make it really on any type of race and sub race. So very, very nice that you got all this freedom. But there's a ton of different mods here that you can also pile on top of it. Like if you want to play as Queen Marika, you can use the Queen Marika outfit. So yeah, there's a lot of cool mods that can give you, if you really want to play Elden Ring in Baldur's Gate 3. There's a ton. This mod creator, Darth Wren, does a great job. So shouts out to Darth Wren there. They got all sorts of funny ones if you want to play your Final Fantasy dreams here. You got that. Ball princess armor, I can't show on screen. Tav's hair mixer, so you can mix and match some of the hair pieces, which is really cool, because some of the hair is, I think, there's like cool pieces of it, and then there's some that just don't look as good. So yeah, there's a ton of really cool ones. Next is something that I think is really awesome with the Dunmer race. If you played Elder Scrolls, you'll know what I'm talking about here. This is the Dark Elves, so this is another one that's cool. It has different racial abilities, so resistance to fire, proficiency in weapons, and these are all pretty balanced. That's really nice. So getting different things alongside these, just to be able to give yourself a new playthrough every single time. I think this is awesome, and it's going to make Baldur's Gate 3 a game that I'm going to play when I'm like 70 years old, honestly, just because of all the really cool things that are going to be added to this game. So, like, this is a high level of detail, adding all of this into the game. Very well done mod, and there's going to be more of these mods that are very well done in the future, so can look forward to seeing a ton of those. Now, I did briefly cover this one in a previous video. Tav's Hair Salon is a very nice mod. As you can see here, there's a ton of different hairstyles that just, they all look great. Not that the hairstyles in Baldur's Gate 3 aren't that great, but this one, I'm not sure how it's going to, if it will come to console, but there is a lot of hairstyles that aren't used in the game by the characters that you can't put on your character. So I do expect to see more hairstyles on PlayStation as well, but if this can get remade for Xbox, I think that would be incredible, because these hair mods just look really nice. And allows you, if you really want to self-insert yourself while you're playing Baldur's Gate 3, this gives you the ability to, you know, if you got a specific hairstyle that's just not covered, like I kind of have one that's moderately covered in the game. My first playthrough, I went with that, but even better, I would have liked if I could have made my character look even more like myself. So there's also different accessories and piercings and stuff made by the same creator. So Tori is a creator. Great job on this one. And other heads. This is another one that's really cool, because some of these heads are used from other characters in the game, or some of them are also just repurposed and changed around a little bit. So giving the ability to have a human, a tiefling, and an elf have the same kind of head is really interesting. So I do look forward to seeing this and many other facial mods being added to the game, because as I said, there's a lot of them that are unused. There's a lot of them that are used by only like a couple characters. So if you, again, we look around, we see tons of different characters moving around, and then there's so many characters in this game that we can literally borrow from. So I do expect to see more of these in the future, so I'm looking forward to that. Another one, I really like the aesthetically pleasing ones. To the eyes of the beholder. I don't see why this can't come to all consoles, because it's literally just a recoloring. So giving the ability to have different colored eyes, like this is like a cat's eye there. So there's cat eyes in the game already. And what's cool is Baldur's Gate 3 actually has like uniquely modeled teeth and eyes. So this won't be too hard to really put into the game. So that's one thing with this. You even got goat eyes. It's kind of funny. I used this one in the past as well, but again, it does look too much like a mod for me to want to use consistently, because people will be asking, how do you get that? But there's some cool ones. You can even make yourself look like Orin if you want to. So there's lots of really interesting choices in here that I think are really great. So looking forward to having more choices for cosmetic purposes. But getting into some more of the fun stuff here, we got the Artificer subclass, which I briefly touched on in another video. So this has 3 subclasses. It's got a bunch of different weapons and spells and the ability to use all different things. The Artificer is a really cool class. It gets a bunch of different weapons. It can use bows. It can use magic. It's an interesting one. So there's the 4 subclasses: the Alchemist, Armor, Artillerist, and the Battlesmith. So you get all of those there with unique actions. I see this coming to all consoles because this is a class from Dungeons and Dragons, and it was skipped in the game. The game couldn't have every single thing because the game is massive in its scale, but that's where modders come in. And the modding toolkit allows for new classes and subclasses. So there's also things like muskets, which I think is really cool. Karlach with the strap there, that's so funny. So yeah, I think that this would be great for Karlach too. So yeah, look at that armor, really nice. I'm hopeful that a lot of this stuff will come to console, and I do think it will. It just depends on what the item or what the icons will be. They may have to just be recolors of things that are already in the game. But yeah, really looking forward to this because there's a lot that can be done with that. And another one, people are talking a lot about Cleric subclass, so I want to touch on this again because this adds a ton of different Cleric subclasses. So we got the Arcana domain, the Blood domain, Death domain, Forge, Grave, Moon domain, Order domain, Peace domain, Twilight domain. So tons of different ones, and these all come with their own spells and different things that are just being added in. So very nice that it's got like this level, like that's the Forge domain there. They're just recolors, but I don't honestly mind recolors because these appearances are so well done that I don't mind seeing them. There's literally like 400 or 500 different icons in this game. There's a ton of them, so I don't mind them getting repurposed for this sake, because this means that PlayStation's more likely to get a lot of these things too, which I'm a big fan of. So yeah, that is really nice. The Cleric subclass is great. Another one, everyone dies, unlimited dying. So this gives you the ability to dye your clothing multiple times with different colors, and it doesn't run out. So there's also a bunch of dye mods that just completely change the color of things, and the modding toolkit will allow for that. So that's another thing that will be coming, which is super exciting. So yeah, looking forward to that. Daughter of Lolth, getting Minthara on a good playthrough. Everyone deserves a playthrough of Minty, so I'm excited to see these come to console as well. I don't think it'd be too difficult to make something like this work, because again, it's assets that are already in the game, just requiring a little bit of tweaking. It may interrupt some context and dialogue options, but yeah, this is great. I'm happy to see more of these getting added into the game. And I'll end off with this, more reactive companions. This is one that I love using. So there's a lot of dialogue options that are used if you play as a character. So, you know, when you go shift around and you click on your character and they're like, I gotta do this, or they say something funny like that, well, you're gonna get all these extra dialogue options to be said while you're just adventuring around. So there's a ton of really cool ones that get added in. So this gives us much more context to the game, which is, I think, incredible. I just love the banter between characters. One of the things I really liked about Dragon Age Inquisition is the dialogue options banter between the teammates, and I guess in other Dragon Age games too, but getting more of that in Baldur's Gate 3 will be incredible. So I'm really looking forward to the mods. Those are some of the best that I wanted to cover and talk about in this video. My previous video yesterday was talking about mods on console. This is kind of a mix of all things modding and some of my favorites in the game that just make things so much better. So let me know your thoughts and what mods you're most excited to see in Baldur's Gate 3 coming in patch 7. Hit that subscribe button below if you haven't already. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate every one of you guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.